Hello and welcome to Practical Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Emily, and this is where we're going to talk about all of that bad advice given with the best of intentions. Hello, how are you today? I hope that you are doing well and you're not going too crazy in this whole quarantine situation. If you're listening to this in the future and you were unaware of a quarantine, this is the year 2020 when we were all quarantined in our houses due to COVID-19. So yay for the world. I am an essential employee, so I still get to go to work every day. Yay. It's a real party. But alright, so today we are talking about the only thing that matters, and that is your soulmate. So this advice is wait for your soulmate. Everyone has one. Now, there's lots of advice surrounding soulmates and waiting for the right one and the perfect match for you and all of that good, fun, romantic stuff. And today I'm about to smash all of it into the ground. Not because I hate soulmates or I have anything against people who believe in soulmates, but just because I want to make it very clear that I think there are lots of different kinds of soulmates, and that to me, I really don't think that there's a romantic soulmate. That's just my personal opinion. I believe more in platonic soulmates, which we'll talk a little bit more about further into the episode. That is just my theory on soulmates. So soulmates is a concept that actually originated in Plato's Symposium hundreds of years ago, and it comes from some Greek mythology. So if you're really into Greek mythology and that's your jam, then you've probably heard this before. If not, it's okay. I'm about to explain it to you, so hold your horses, it'll be fine. The story goes that humans were originally born with 2 hearts, 4 arms, 4 legs, etc., 2 perfect beings melded together. Zeus saw this and got immensely jealous of humans for this reason and decided instead he was going to split them apart and they would no longer be one perfect cohesive being. And so when he split them apart, he essentially, I don't want to say doomed, but we're going to use the word doomed. He essentially doomed humans to walk the planet looking for that perfect other half that would have made them that perfect human being. That's where this concept of soulmates came from. It's the craziest thing if you really think about it, that there's only one person out there in the world for you that's going to make you a whole being and that you're going to be perfectly happy with. Because if that's the case, is your soulmate always going to be in the country that you live in? Are they going to be in a different country? Are they even going to be born in the same time as you, necessarily? To me, that's just absolutely crazy to think about, that there's only one person that is this perfect romantic match for you. Now, are some people better matches than others? Well, of course, you're going to find people that you just don't click with at all. And that's perfectly fine too. But what you're also going to find is that by holding this ideal of a soulmate in your head, you're actually going to reject more people than you would if you just went into it expecting it to be a little bit of work and expecting to have to get to know yourself and the person that you're looking to be with romantically. Now, there was this thing that I read, and it was, you can put work in to build the love you crave and want, or you can wait and reject everyone not perfect. I know that's not the most, oh my gosh, this is just the best, most poetic advice in the world. And it's not, but if you think about it, you're not going to find someone that you match with on every single level. Are you going to find people that you have things in common with? Of course. Are you going to find people that you absolutely know you would never be able to be in a long-term relationship with? Of course. But if you're sitting there expecting this person to just waltz into your life, I think that you're just setting yourself up to be disappointed. Not that there's anything wrong. Everyone needs to have the qualities, that they're looking for, especially in a long-term significant other. I'm not going to say spouse because not everyone wants to get married, but a long-term significant other, someone you're looking to build a life with, you're obviously going to have expectations for that relationship and for what you're hoping to get out of it in the end. And you shouldn't by any means feel the need to completely abandon those, but at the same time, you shouldn't expect someone to just waltz into your life and be perfect. Sorry, my dog sneezed. Bless you, dog. You shouldn't expect someone to walk into your life and just be automatically perfect either, because that's going to lead to a lot of disconnect in your relationship. Now, the best relationship is not matched, but it's grown. And so what I mean by this is, you can see two people and they're in the first stage of, oh my gosh, he's so cute, she's so cute. Oh, I love, my dog thinks I'm talking to her. I just love everything about them. There's nothing that they can do wrong. And that's infatuated love. And there's nothing wrong with infatuated love. In fact, that's how all loves start. And it's okay. And this phase lasts longer for some people than others. But in the end, it does fade. And what you're left with is what you grew in that time when you were so infatuated with this other person that you just couldn't be away from them. You didn't want to spend a minute away from them. You loved everything about them, even their flaws. What you really have to ask yourself when you're looking at this infatuated love is, how will you react when your soulmate starts looking a bit less perfect? So when that little thing you found quirky at the beginning is kind of annoying now, when that starts to happen and their habits are you're realizing what's going on and what's happening, not that you weren't realizing before, but you're really paying attention to it now, what is going to be there? We have to plant these roots in our relationship and grow a strong foundation. And by doing that, that foundation could be built on the things that you have in common and, all of those things. And that's fine, but it still takes building. So you can have everything in common under the sun and still not be a good romantic match. Now, there are people, they say opposites attract, and that's a whole other episode. But, there are people that are vastly different who have the best romantic relationships under the sun. I'm not saying they're perfect, but, they get along with each other, they understand how to communicate and all of this other fun stuff. And that comes from that growth period that you're, that time that you're spent cultivating all of these, expectations and how are we going to communicate and how is this going to work out and things like that. And in general, it's really asking yourself what kind of view you have. Do you believe that things are meant to happen? Or do you believe that things happen due to the amount of hard work you put in? Are you just expecting that things will just suddenly happen? Or are you knowing that you have to put the work into a relationship, a job, anything, just for it to turn into what you want it to? And that's a really big part about it. And a lot of people that get stuck in this destiny, I guess this is the best way to put it, fate, are likely to sabotage their own relationships that could have very well turned into something awesome. And the reason is because they believe, if they believe that they found their soulmate, they also believe that they're not going to have to work at the relationship. So the first time they hit something hard, they're just like, oh, well, I guess it just wasn't meant to be, and they just throw it off to the side. And they believe that there's no communication needed because he's my soulmate. He's going to understand what I need, and they're just going to expect that things are going to be perfect all the time. You can believe that the person you're with is your soulmate. That's perfectly fine. But you also have to admit that there's going to be some hard work that needs to be put in to your relationship for it to work. Whether it's your soulmate or not, I don't really care. What comes down to in the end is that you're going to have to work for that relationship. You're going to have to work on your communication. You're going to have to work on your expectations as a spouse or a long-term significant other. You're going to have to work on what you want out of life and things like I said, communication, expectations, sex. That's a really big one with soulmates. They're like, oh, we just didn't click. It just wasn't good enough. And sometimes you just have bad sex and it fucking happens. And I feel like that's an absolutely terrible reason to just completely throw somebody out the window and be like, nope, not good enough. It was my soulmate. It should have been perfect. And I feel like, just like following your passion, when we talked about that, where you're setting yourself up for failure and you're setting yourself up to never be content because you're always wondering, what's the next best thing? Is this my soulmate or is there something better? Rather than focusing on what they have in front of them, they're looking to the future always. And not in the good way, not in a how can I get their way, but in a there's something better out their way. And I think that that's the problem I have with this romantic soulmate thing, is because there's never going to be that perfect person. I'm sorry to break it to you if you watch The Notebook 800 times. Even in The Notebook, I'm sorry, they're not perfect, first off. But if you watch romantic comedies and they just knew it was love at first sight, which is another thing that I don't believe in. But that's, like I said, whole other episode, whole other thing. To sit there and believe that you're just going to look at somebody and know that they're the perfect one for you, to me is absolutely ridiculous. Had you asked me at 17 if I had found my soulmate, I would have said yes. And I was in a very bad situation that was not the best at all. I was in an emotionally abusive relationship that I didn't realize at the time because I was 17 and I was in love and everything, this is how things are supposed to be. I'm supposed to be perfect for him. I'm supposed to be this. I'm supposed to be that. You know, he's allowed to talk to me like this. He's allowed to tell me all of these things. And, you know, it just doesn't end well because 2 years later, I realized that I'd had enough with it and I worked up the nerve and I left. Now, just because you think someone's your soulmate is not a reason to put up with things that you wouldn't otherwise put up with. If they're not willing to treat you, or at least make an effort to treat you the way that you want to be treated and deserve to be treated, then they're not worth your time, and they're not worth you sitting there crying over them and doing everything you can, ripping yourself apart to be someone you're not. Now, when we get in relationships, we all change. You know, you make changes for the better. You, a lot of times, start adopting things that your significant other does. You can become very similar, but there's no reason for you to lose yourself. And I feel this thought of a soulmate, you can get trapped into it and feel that you might need to change who you are just so you're perfect for somebody who's, not even a little bit okay for you. And it's hard, and you know, it's not the easiest thing. You don't just sit there and go, oh, that's a wife beater. Oh, that guy's emotionally abusive. These are things that happen over time. You know, they don't happen right off the bat. Because if they do, people usually leave. They go, deuces, peace out, I'm done. These are things that just happen over time. And it's really just trying to figure out, like I said in, the episode about treat others how you want to be treated and all of that stuff. It's teaching people how you want to be treated. So you have to teach your significant other how you want to be loved. You know, just like they're teaching you how they want to be loved. You know, you have to do that and take the time to put that effort forward. Now, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I do believe in platonic soulmates. So those friends that you meet that you just automatically click with and it's just that immediate, oh my gosh, are we best friends? Yes, we are 100% best friends. So the definition of a platonic soulmate is having an intense non-sexual relationship with another. The relationship carries far more significance and richness than having a best friend or a dear companion. And although varying, platonic soulmates usually transfer support, love, deep compassion, and understanding. So I believe in platonic soulmates. So for me, when I meet somebody and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is excellent, like we are like the same person, I go from 0 to 100 really quick. My interview with Alex, we kind of talked about this, and it might be more a military spouse thing than anything else, but you meet someone and you either click with them or you don't. And as a military spouse, if we click with them, we're not going to take 10 years to decide we're best friends. We're not going to take a year to decide we're best friends. We're going to be best friends within the week. I ain't got time to not be best friends. One of my very, very best friends who, you know, I spent years not even hanging out with, which we both want to bash ourselves over the head for this, but, you know, we sat down and hung out maybe twice, and we were like, you know what? We are fucking best friends now. I would venture to say she's my platonic soulmate. And I also believe you can have multiple platonic soulmates because I have my other best friend that I've had for years. We became best friends pretty quick off the bat too. And guess what? Neither one of those relationships is perfect. Even though I believe wholly in my heart that those two women are my soulmates in the most platonic way possible, but they are my soulmates, our relationships aren't perfect. I have had knockdown, drag-out fights with both of them in one sense or another. I have accidentally ignored both of them as well. Sorry girls. I'm really bad at responding to text messages sometimes. But at the end of the day, I have also supported them through difficult times. I have loved them through the best and worst times of their lives. You know, I have done everything that I can for these women and offered my compassion, my understanding, any knowledge or advice I might even possibly have for them, I have offered to them. I have sent Christmas presents. I have driven hours to be at a wedding. These are things that have happened, and they've done the same for me. My one friend rode on a bus for like a day and a half to be with me while I gave birth. One of my other friends does everything under the sun that she can to make sure that I'm in a mentally healthy place. She puts herself out there and talks me through things and understands things, and she's been through so much with me in my life, including my crazy relationship that, had you asked me at 17 or 18 if it was my soulmate, I would have said yes. She went through that whole situation with me. So it's really hard for me to sit here and say that soulmates aren't a thing when I have these two wonderful women in my life who I am so deeply connected with, that I connected with almost immediately. Because like I said, to me, that's a soulmate. I don't care what you say. There doesn't have to be anything romantic about it. Those women are my soulmates. So both of them, they know who they are, and I know they listen, so I love you. But platonic soulmates are more important and more plentiful than romantic ones. You can fight me on that if you don't believe me. Please fight me on it. Because I have in my life not yet once found an actual romantic soulmate. I love my husband to the moon and back, but I would not want to say, based on the definition of soulmate, that he is my soulmate. Is he the man I want to spend the rest of my life with? 100,000% yes. My two friends that I just talked about, they are my platonic soulmates. I clicked with them immediately. If a soulmate is just someone you want to spend the rest of your life with, then my husband is 100% my soulmate. I think it all depends on how you define it, and I feel like everyone has a different definition for it. But to say, sit there and wait for the perfect, your perfect soulmate to come out, your perfect soulmate, is just the stupidest thing that I've ever heard. Don't wait for your soulmate. Go out, make a soulmate, and find your platonic soulmates, because those are the ones that are going to be super important to you while you're trying to make your other soulmate that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, or whatever. It's while you're building that relationship, the other platonic soulmates are going to give you advice that you actually need and don't want to hear. They're going to tell you things that you don't want to hear about. They're going to sit there by you while you cry over who knows what. They're going to be there for you through all the tough times in your life, and they're going to understand more sometimes than your romantic partner will. And that's okay. It's okay to have people who understand you and who support you in different ways. I feel like it's so important for us to have this group of people that are going to support you in these different ways, because that's how we really start building our community, is by having these different supports and knowing I can call this friend for this. I know if I talk to this friend about this, she's just going to kind of agree with me. But if I talk to this one over here, she's going to give me how it is. What kind of advice do I want today? Everything worth having takes work. Romantics with your romantic soulmate, platonic soulmate, it doesn't matter. It all takes work. None of it is easy, and it's all worth having at the end of the day. A platonic soulmate is more than your best friend. It's the person who, even though you're not romantically involved, you're destined to spend the rest of your life with. That's another quote from the Odyssey Online. They wrote a whole article about soulmates, and it's beautiful. And it's all about how the platonic soulmate is super important. But, everything is going to take work, and sitting here talking to you, I can give you as much or as little advice as I want, and what you take from it is what you take from it. But don't count someone out just because they're not what you pictured 100% in your head. Give people chances. Give someone the chance to wow you and really put it into your head that this could be something. Don't count someone out just because they don't check every single box on your list. But also, know what's really important to you. Know those top 3 things that you will not compromise on. Those few things that you need to have in your partner, and don't compromise on those. But don't expect your partner to know exactly what you want or what you need. Because even if they are your soulmate, they still need you to tell them how you want to be loved. And so at the end of the day, platonic soulmates for the win as far as soulmates go. And don't count somebody out just because they don't check every single tiny box of what you wanted in a perfect soulmate. And that's all I have. That's all I have on this subject. I'm obviously very, very heated about platonic soulmates, But it's just so important to me that people recognize that things can be built. Great things can be built, especially when you know what sort of foundation you want it to stand on. And if you and somebody have a foundation that's similar, it's worth taking it to the next level and taking it further and seeing where it goes. Even though the house doesn't look the same, if the foundation is similar enough for you, I say go for it. So thank you so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. I hope you are all staying safe and healthy in this crazy quarantine. And as always, you can find me and all of my fun Facebook and Instagram posts through my website, practicalchaospodcast.com. I am doing a post a month for April, so don't miss out on that. Also, if you missed out on this month's interview episode, please head over to my website and you will find all the episodes listed there. Definitely take a listen and learn some self-care, learn about massage therapy, and about owning your own business and being a mom at the same time. So it was really fun. The girl I'm speaking with is actually one of those platonic soulmates that I was talking about. So definitely head over and give that a nice, awesome listen. And still remember that we are supporting Preston and Paws for Ability to go ahead and work on getting Preston a service dog. It is very important to me that we help this family get their son a service dog. Service dogs are so expensive, and Preston's family needs to raise $17,000 to be able to get a service dog, and so anything that you could do would really help out. They do still have a fundraiser going until April 26th where they're collecting used shoes in the Oklahoma and Texas areas, and they are donating them to a company who will then pay per pound and donate directly to Preston's cause. So you have some shoes laying around the house and you're in one of those two areas, reach out. I'll tell you where the pickup locations are, or there is a post on my Facebook page regarding pickup locations for that fundraiser. If you can't support monetarily, please don't forget to share it. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want to listen to this episode and watch this episode unedited and the bonus episodes as well as my mini vlogs, please head over to my Patreon, patreon.com/practicalchaospodcast, and check out some stuff over there. I have some behind the scenes photos as well as an unedited video of this episode and previous episodes. And you also, depending on the tier you pick, do get to listen to the episodes prior to the day that they come out. So take a peek at that. Once again, all of this information can be found on practicalchaospodcast.com. And as always, love you. Toodles.